Welcome to Terror Historias Reales with Christopher, where true horror comes to life. In today's episode, we delve into the spine chilling true story of Erin. It all begins with a seemingly ordinary move to a new apartment in the heart of South Central Los Angeles. But what was meant to be a brief stay turns into a terrifying ordeal. From the moment Erin's family steps inside, something feels off. A foul odor, swarms of flies, and the gruesome discovery of real human teeth in the bathroom. As time passes, strange voices echo through the halls. Objects move by themselves, and even the family dogs become frightened by unseen forces. But the terror doesn't stop there. A menacing figure appears in the dead of night, lurking in the shadows. Desperate for help, the family seeks guidance, only to uncover even darker secrets. Will they survive the supernatural forces that haunt their home? Dare to listen until the very end to find out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with your friends for more true horror tales. Let's get started. If you dare. Do you know of someone with a real life terrifying story? I'm looking for spine chilling experiences told in English for our channel, Terror Historias Reales with Christopher. And if you or someone you know has a haunting tale to share, I want to hear it. My contact information is on every single episode. You can reach me via email, Instagram, or through our Facebook page. And if you want to hear just how dark these stories can get, find our show called Terror Historias Reales with Christopher. My name is Erin, and this is my story. This happened around 2015 to 2016. I was 16 years old. Our family, we were moving from one place to another very abruptly. We were only supposed to be there for a few months. It's in a really bad part of Los Angeles. It's in South Central, one of the roughest parts of South Central. Crime everywhere. The idea was that we went there a few months and then we left. That didn't happen. It's been over 5 years now, and we're still there. The first thing that I remember noticing is the smell of like paint. But the apartment had been ready for months. The windows had been open. My mom had come and seen the apartment. We walked in. I remember my sister saying that it was disgusting that it smelled, and then the flies. I'm not talking about one or two flies, a lot of flies. If you leave me outside and flies, I like that really bad. My dad started swatting at them, and I decided that I would keep exploring the new apartment. The rooms are dark. The windows are open. There's no curtains. That warmth of a home feel isn't there. When I walk into my mom's room, it just was even colder. The feel of the room wasn't as inviting as the rest of the apartment was, and even the house itself. The apartment was not inviting at all. I walk out. I see my siblings going into the room. My mom and my dad are swatting flies. I go into the restroom. This restroom is tiny. The only thing that I notice that isn't new in the restroom is the cabinet mirror. I open it because it's old. This dark wood, like if it's rotting wood, but it doesn't smell. The glass is foggy. We can barely see ourselves, and it's a small mirror too. I open it. The first thing that I see is teeth. I thought they were dentures, but no. I picked up the teeth. They were real human teeth. Like teeth that got pulled out They were big adult teeth. I grabbed them and I'm looking inside and I'm like, these are real teeth. I walk out the restroom and I go to my parents fast. And I'm like, Mom, I'm like, look at these teeth. And she's like, where did you get those? Those are fake. My dad turns around and he's like, where did you get them? And I'm like, they were in the bathroom. He looked at me. He thought I was joking. He thought I had brought these from somewhere or something. We have dogs. The dogs had not moved from the front of the apartment. They were standing there. They weren't moving in. They were looking at me too. My mom was like, go throw them away. And I'm like, okay. That was the resolution to that. I went back to the restroom and flushed them down the toilet. That was the end of the teeth. The flies, it took us 2 weeks to get rid of all the flies. We thought we would be done by the end of the day. We didn't understand where all these flies were coming from. A few weeks go by. This is towards October, Halloween time. There wasn't money in the budget for costumes. Our family decided that year we would just stay indoors. We'd already put up some stuff, some of the decorations. And my mom and my dad like to collect antique furniture. Some of the stuff that we had, it was previously owned by someone who either had passed away or they gave it to him. It's 7:30 in the afternoon, already at nighttime. In October, fall time is pitch black. It's dark outside. Our living room doesn't have a center light bulb outside. Our living room doesn't have a center light bulb. It's just dark. We only have the kitchen light on that's illuminating the living room area, then the light in the hallway. It's a small dingy hallway that connects the 2 rooms and the bathroom at the end. We're sitting there watching Netflix, and when the episode's coming on to the next one, it's quiet. I hear someone say, Aaron, Aaron. I look up and I'm like, what do you want, Daniel? He looks at me. My brother Daniel, he was like, I didn't call your name. I look at my mom, she said, it's coming from the room. And I'm like, who's in the room? My mom is joking me. She's like, tal vez espantan aquí. This place is haunted. And I was like, Mom, we just moved here. We just moved here. Stop, speaking out in the world. I am very chicken. We come from a family that practices brujeria. So when she said that, I immediately thought of maybe someone did something because I thought back to the teeth. I don't get up. I don't go check the rooms or anything. The dogs are facing the hallway. Their hairs are standing up, but they're not barking. I look down the hallway. There's nothing there. I just turn around. We continue watching the movie. That night, we go to sleep. We always say goodnight, love you to each other. It's always a thing that we do, even to our dogs. I'm always the last person to go to sleep. I just sleep late. I go outside. The apartment is pitch black. All the lights are off. It's just me and my flashlight from my phone. I open the room door, walk in the hallway. My dog, Zoe, she's standing in front of our room door, facing down the hallway. My brother's dog, Jade, was also sitting right in front of the door. They were facing the hallway. Just them two. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? I flash the light up. I don't see anything. They look at me. They have worry in their eyes. I got this really bad vibe. I woke up my mom. She tells me, go back to sleep. I go back to bed. I don't tell my siblings or anything. We're in a new environment. A few months go by. There's not a lot of activity in the house. One day, we're sitting in the living room. We weren't doing anything. It was just me, my sister, my mom. We're having a conversation. We can hear walking in the hallway. My mom was the first one to look up into the hallway. I look up. No one. There's no one there. The house becomes still, silent. Our dogs, they stand up, get in front of the entrance to the hallway. They start showing their teeth. They've never been aggressive, and I have never in my life seen them puff up like that. They were snarling, showing their teeth. At the end of the hallway, we had this chinero. At the top, we had my sister's 15 crown. It was sitting on top of the chinero. Right behind it is a Bible. When the dogs are snarling, they start barking. The tiara flew down the hallway like if they threw it at the dogs. Our dogs scurry away. They're still trying to attack this thing. My mom starts to pray. My mom is very tough. She's very thug. Whatever you are, you need to get out of my house. I don't want you here. In the name of Jesus Christ, and she starts praying. That stillness of the house and the heaviness leaves. The dogs slowly start to calm down. They come and they sit next to us, but they're still looking at the hallway. That was the first intense thing that happened. When we told my dad was stressed out. We had just moved. He didn't want to hear that this place was haunted. We didn't have anywhere else to go. We just put that to the side. We forgot about it. Like I said, my mom practices brujeria and stuff. My mom talked to her sister. My tia practices black magic, the blackest magic you can think of. She told my mom, there's something in your house, and it doesn't want you or your kids. It didn't want us, which is us kids. My mom told us it's not a demon though. She said, your aunt didn't say that it's a demon, but it's a spirit, like a human spirit. I'm like, okay, what does it want? She said, I don't know. My mom, she didn't want to freak us out more. She kept it hidden. As time went on, we would have more and more conversations about it, especially the more it started to manifest itself in my sister's dreams when I would walk in the dark at night, what my mom would see in her room. For my sister, at least for her, my sister, she has prophetic dreams. She can dream the death of a loved one. She'll dream the birth of a new child. At the time when the activity started to pick up, my sister started having night terrors. She would wake up crying. When we would ask her, what were you dreaming? She would see a woman, an old woman, standing at the edge of her bed. She had a black veil over her face. She'd be screaming at her. To just screaming, loud screaming, no nothing, no words. It was a constant thing to the point where my sister wouldn't sleep. She was terrified of having that same nightmare. We come to find out she was having sleep paralysis. Her sleep paralysis demon was this woman with the black veil. Her prophetic dreams started getting painted with this figure in her dreams. She was like, I don't understand, like I'm dreaming something that's supposed to be good. She always shows up and she interrupts it. My mom, she reached out to the local church, told them, listen, there's this being in my house. It's affecting my daughter. We don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. The sister that she spoke to, she said, of course, I'll tell the pastor to come himself. And it was a group of 9 of them. They came into our home. They went room to room. The pastor, as he got to our room, he stopped. He took more time to bless the entrance to our room. He turned, looked at my sister, and blessed her first. He told her, he was like, I won't be able to touch you anymore. My sister was pale. They go into my mom's room. One of the hermanas, she starts crying. She whispers to the pastor there's something there. They're praying. The pastor's throwing holy water around all over the place. He tells us, repeat after me. The blessing ends. He blesses the rest of us, my dad, my mom, me, my brothers. He even sprinkles holy water on the dogs. He leaves. The activity dies down. My sister is able to sleep. The week goes by. At 2:30 in the morning, I have to use the restroom. I come outside, I see my dog, the oldest dog. She's standing right beside our door, looking down the hallway. My brother's dog, she's sitting in front of my parents' room, guarding it. I go to the restroom. I'm in there for less than 5 minutes. I come outside. They're both standing in the hallway. I can see them looking at something. I'm too tired to deal with this right now. I walk into my room. I shine the light up in between our beds. There's this tall, lanky man facing the wall. He has his hand on my bed frame. He's not moving. His coat is burgundy. I can feel my dogs walk behind me. They start grooming, snarling again. This thing is just standing there. I lower my flashlight, close my eyes. I can hear my dog snarling. My siblings are not waking up. I have my eyes closed. It must have been just a few seconds. I open them. There's no one there. I bolt into my mom's room. I woke her up, and she was scared. I'm like, there was a tall man in the room. I couldn't even tell her. I was having a whole panic attack. She comes into her room. The dogs are scurrying around in the room, looking for something. I turn on the light, and my siblings wake up. My mom, she sits in there with us. She has us do a prayer circle. We're praying. She's giving us comfort words, and that ends right. We go to sleep. A few nights go by. I'm terrified to sleep in my room. Months go by. My sister has begun to have these weird dreams again. They start complaining that they hear my mom calling out to them when my mom is not home. My brother was sitting in the living room. He heard my mom shout his name. He heard her shout his middle name from the room. Shalom. My brother was like, "What?" There's no response. He got up from the couch. He walked down the hallway into the room. Her room was dark, pitch black. No one was home. He calls my sister, and he calls me frantically. He's like, "Where are you guys? We're out with our friends. What happened?" He explains to us what he had just went through. We're like, "Okay, just go back. Go into the room. Stay inside. Don't answer if anyone calls you. We come home." All the lights are on. He's sitting in there, blasting music. He doesn't want to hear if someone calls him. He's pale. He's freaked out. So we tell our mom. She tells me, "Okay, we should practice praying more," and stuff like that. I don't think this is working. This thing, it's getting stronger. It's manifesting itself more. This was a year into living there. I remember I was sick. I stayed home from school. I was laying in bed, and I knocked on the wall. That's how we would tell each other that we were here. My brother Daniel missed school a lot. He was always sickly. I knocked on the wall. Someone knocks back. I knocked twice. Someone knocks back. Pop, pop. I knock again. They knock back. They're responding to me. I'm like, "Okay, cool. Daniel's here." I get up all happy from my bed, and I walk down the hallway. I look in his bed. No one's there. No one's there. The dogs are staring straight at his bed. I walk right back into the room. I close the door. I lock it. I turn all the lights on. After all of these events, Erin's family is about to find out the story behind the apartment from a neighbor, and her story continues right after this. Stay with us. At this point, because we've been living here for a year, we've become friends with a neighbor who's been here a long time. My mom and her are having coffee. My mom's like, "Oh, how long have you been here?" "I've been here 15 years. My mom brings up the apartment. The neighbor tells her, "You don't know where you live, do you? Go talk to the neighbor in the front." That neighbor is very, very quiet, very to herself. My mom asks her why, because she lived there. She lived there right before you got here, maybe a few months. Then she asked them to switch her unit. She couldn't deal with the person that walked down the hallway. My mom, her feet and her hands went cold. She had never told anyone about the hauntings in her house. My mom goes, knocks on the door, introduces herself. She's like, I have a few questions about the unit number 1 where I live. Are you seeing things too? My mom responds, yes, I'm seeing things, hearing things. My kids are seeing things, hearing things. She tells my mom very straight up, that thing is never going to go away, ever. When another unit opens up in the building, ask them to move you. They won't go away. It's only going to get worse. They talk about the apartment more. She explains to her the things that we're seeing. The flies, the knocking on the walls, the walking in the hallway, the things being thrown off the walls. The neighbor, she tells her, is going to talk to you. It's going to sound like one of you, one of your family. Remember, it's not your family. My mom, scared of her mind, she comes back to the apartment. She tells us this is what the neighbor told me about the apartment. We're like, all right, so what do we do? Ignore everything that you hear, everything that you see. Don't pay attention to it. That's what we started doing. We still hear the walking, the knocking and everything, but we don't pay mind to it. I don't think that was the right decision to do. It got upset. It started to hit the walls harder. It started to attack us more psychologically in our dreams, attacking the dogs in the dark. My sister, she was showering one day. My mom had put up a shelf in the bathroom, the metal ones. There was empty glass jars, small glass jars, not heavy ones, super small. We're all sitting in the living room kitchen area. We hear a loud bang and glass breaking. My sister starts screaming. I run to the door with my brothers. I'm like, open the door. She's like, I can't open it. There's glass everywhere. We break the knob to get in. My sister's in the shower. The shelf had been yanked off the wall, clean cut straight out of the wall. I'm looking at my sister. She's looking at me. Let's just forget this. At this point, we're used to this, but it's obviously getting to a different level of seriousness. My mom, she's in the living room. My dad is just sitting there. He's antagonizing it. He starts laughing. My mom gets mad at him, and it progressively gets worse from there. My mom, whenever she didn't clean and cook, she would have her friends over to help her cook. This friend had come to our house multiple times. This specific day, my mom and her are sitting at the table. They're peeling corn, taking the husks off. The dogs go crazy. They start nipping at this thing. My mom looks up. Her friend, she turns her head and looks up. There's this tall black figure, like of a man. He had no distinguishable facial features. He was reaching for her friend, trying to grab her. Her friend, she can't move. My mom starts praying out loud, and it stops, turns, looks at her, and it still has its hands out. It turns 360, smears onto our hallway wall, disappears into the wall. Her friend never ever came back. It started to manifest itself more. We can see it sitting on the couch or the table. We can see it cross down the hallway from our room to my parents' room. Very swiftly, it looks just like us. My sister's sitting in front of me. She can see me walk from our room to my parents' room. I can see it too. Years go by. We become used to seeing this thing in our peripheral vision. My sister gets more in touch with her spiritual side. I have stayed away from that. Coming from a family that most of them have dance, where they have very good spiritual connections and spirit guides. The closest thing that we come to is that our dogs are aims, which are our soul lifelines, the way my mom explains it. When we get a pet or an animal in the name, we say they're ours. They become protection for us. My sister, at the time that we had just moved here to this place, her AME had just passed away. She was hit by a car. Out of nowhere, it happened in the blink of an eye. My sister had just gotten a new dog, and she named her, and she was like, "This is my new Ami. This is my dog." That dog protects my sister like no one's business. We come across folklore about mimics. We started putting two and two together, but it's in such a weird place because there's no forest around us. We're in the middle of South Central. There's buildings upon buildings, but there is a lot of crime and death, a lot of cats dying, people dying, car accidents, people getting hurt, robbed, anything that you think of. When we figure out that this thing is a mimic, you can't get rid of those things. You just have to ignore them. Don't give it that attention. That fear, they feed off that fear. 2019, I had just came back from college. My sister, she tells me this thing that lives here, the mimic that lives in this house, is taking new forms. It talks like you. We've seen you sitting on the couch, looking at the TV, but you're not moving. You're not talking. But you weren't here. I asked my mom, my brother. He said, "Yeah, that thing likes you. That thing likes to be you." I get in the habit of every time I go to bed, I pray. My friend, she had given me a rosary that she got from the Vatican. It was blessed by the Pope. It has a saying in the middle. For the first few nights, some stuff gets moved here and there. I'm awake late. I'm a college student used to not sleeping. I hear someone down the hallway. I hear my brother Daniel. Daniel doesn't live with us anymore. I look up. I'm like, no. I pull my rosary out from my bag. I started praying, and I don't know any prayers by heart. I'm like, please God, please make this thing go away. Please tell it to leave me alone. I don't want it next to me. It calls me again. I start screaming, and I'm like, Mom, and I'm 19. I'm not a kid anymore. My mom opens the door, turns on the hallway light. I'm like, that thing was in the hallway. She sits with me in the living room. It's okay. It's okay. I even went and looked up the apartment. I know that the apartment was built in 1965. It's been bought and sold 3 separate times. It was sold once again right before we moved here. The owner had just redone the apartment. A lot of the interior for the apartments are the same. The cabinet in the bathroom is. It's the original interior design to the bathrooms, and they just never swapped it out from our apartment. From what I could find, the original prints for the apartment. Our apartment was huge. It was the main apartment you could live in. Our hallway, they ended up building a wall, and that's the wall where we would end up putting our tea net on, where all the stuff would manifest in the beginning. The extra part that was closed off, it was made into a single unit. They also see and hear things at the worst times ever. I came back because my parents liked the help, but it never changed. The stuff that happened when I was 15 still happens now when I'm 24. Our family still experiences these things. Even people that come into our apartment, they experience these things. All these spiritual remedies that we've tried, we still can't get freed from whatever is holding us here. If you or anyone you know has a story to share in English, let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and sharing story with your friends for more real horror stories. Keep it scary, everyone. See you soon.